OBS crashed real briefly. We are back up and running, so I apologize.
It looks like he's gonna go. He's thinking about sword mode. He's thinking he needs to just stem this early damage. I think it's a reasonable option, knowing that you're gonna take 4 again and again and again for the next few turns. So now Saku has a couple options. He could play Scavenger's Ingenuity for a good turn 3, or he could play more immediate pressure with the 1/1 Demon Companion. And opt to go for a better turn 3. Pick up a face stopper off the Ingenuity. So Duwin opts to armor up over playing Corsair Cache. I guess he thinks that the range caliber he has in hand is enough. Saku is going to play a 2-mana 4/5. It always feels good. So he follows up with the Demon Companion. And no Rappa this time, but the 2/2 taunt's pretty good. So Duwin could go ahead and equip the Wrench Caliber this turn to start the flow of bombs. He chooses to also allow for Krasnov next turn. It could also Shield Slam the 2/2 and then Blade Storm the 4/5. Based on the actions he's taken the first couple turns, might not be too bad. Is he going to Blade Storm first? Okay. So he's going to tank 4 damage. Okay, and the board's still clear, which always feels good. So Saku's just gonna keep on with the pressure, base stopper in secret, and he picks up the explosive trap.
Job's done.
I do apologize for the technical difficulties. I'm sure if you're hearing this, you're getting back into this in 10 minutes now, as now we are losing that 10 minutes in the interim. That was the part of the delay package there, and that means that you missed the end of game 2, where Duwin did happen to pick up a very tight win. Unfortunately it was very exciting, so I apologize that we missed that. That is not what we were hoping for.
So Saku once again gets down the Imprisoned Felmar, which is pretty nice. Interesting that he holds back the 1/1. I guess it does kind of force Duwin to hit his face and proc the explosive traps. So I don't mind that as much. It does look like Polkout is coming down here. I would like to see, as much as it sucks to put the bombs towards the top of your deck, I think Polkout followed by Freezing Trap makes a lot of sense here. To protect your 4/5 and give your Imprisoned Felmar hopefully a clean shot to the face. Just gonna go with the Pack Tactics. Okay.
Yeah, Pack Tactics guarantees a 3/3 lives, but it also does kind of play a little bit of the mind games here. Maybe Duwin decides not to attack instead with the 6/6. I mean, I don't think there's ever a situation where he doesn't try to at least attack, because worst case scenario, you get a Kronks back to your hand.
Right. Yeah. Follow up with Galakron, so yeah, I think the only problem with Pack Tactics here is now there's a chance that your Belmont just runs into a 6/2,
right?
Which is not going to feel great. And also Pack Tactics, obviously you can't anticipate a Krasnov off of Athletic Studies, but you do know Krasnov is in the deck, and so having this on the board here as well just kind of really hurts the choice of Pack Tactics there.
But we all know that Felma has a place that it likes to go the most.
Today.
Face. All right, I tried to will it into existence for Saku, but it didn't go. And in fact, not only that, it hit the worst possible target, since the 6/2 was the highest value that it would have killed. So, yeah, that was pretty much the worst outcome there. And I mean, and yeah, there's nothing saying that he couldn't have just played Krasnov down as a potential absorber, like a shock absorber, but it still would have been, you know, a preferable outcome overall for him to have, I think, freezing trapped instead.
Mm-hmm.
So Dragonbane does go face, leaving Duwin at 11 health.
Yeah, it's starting to get into a tough spot here. You know, you don't often see a Bomb Warrior racing down a Hunter, but it looks like that might be the case in this game. So we know the next draw is going to be either a bow or a kill command. Has not been shuffled yet. And so him holding back this 1/1 for that kill command now makes sense. Really need to follow it up with the freezing trap, I think. So I think going 1, 2, 3 here with your mana. So he's going to play the Initiate instead, along with the trap. Okay, so next turn looks like the 3, 6, 7, 9. Yeah, he'll be able to, if he draws either the bow or the other kill command, he will not have quite enough damage. 10, 12. No, he'll be 1 off unless this 3/2 lives or eats a face hit. So actually, Saku might get there. If he's not running Animal Companion, he should have the damage to finish this game off. Barring Duwin playing Galakrond. I think that's the one out Duwin has to put his life total at a point that Saku can't close it out. So we'll see if Duwin recognizes that and plays the Galakrond.
He does discover the freezing trap.
Yeah, I would expect hero power Galakrond now. I guess the other option is to wrench Caliber and swing to shuffle the deck, so that it takes away the guarantee of Saku getting that last bit of burn. But okay, so that's what he's going for.
That's where he's, yep, that's the route we're taking.
Interesting, and he's gonna hit the minion. So that's going to leave him with 10 life left. So drawing that kill command is still lethal, drawing the strangle and bow is still lethal. A couple different options here.
And it was not either of those options. But that does not mean the game is over.
No, this does get tough for Saku, having the deck shuffled. So a little bit of a gamble by Duwin, but looks like it's paid off at least so far. I think if you're Saku, you kind of just have to play everything. I don't know why at this point you wouldn't play the Cub and the Kill Command. So
no, absolutely. I mean, and especially with the Cub protects the 1/3 from Bladestorm. As much as that is a minor thing, it's still a minion on board, and he does recognize and plays it.
Let none survive.
So, I mean, it does give Duwin the information. You have nothing left in your hand. But, I mean, that information was coming down anyway, so this will probably be Galakrond put Duwin back up to 10.
Yeah, has to be, I would imagine.
And then I think at that point you feel pretty safe to just go face with your weapon.
Yeah, the Kronks in hand too represents another 5 direct damage. So over the next few turns, you win the game as long as Saku does not draw the lethal here.
I don't know that he can do 6 more damage from anything he draws because he's already played Dragonbane. It's gonna do it, unfortunately for Saku.
2 games in a row, Saku got very close.
Well played, indeed.
Yeah, tough series. Yeah, players talk about aggro being mindless and anyone can pick up and play it, but that's just not the case. Aggro does take a lot of decisions that may not be obvious always, but you can watch in this series and anyone that's played a lot of aggro decks that that choice on turn 1, turn 2 can make the difference in a game like this, especially when you're...
It really does, yeah.
When you're playing games that are that close, where the margins are so thin that every point of damage matters. Every minion you can get on the board that can stick for another turn, it all adds up.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a bad perception that a lot of people have that it must be easier to play because all you do is try to pour the damage at your opponent's face. But like you said, there's a lot of little micro decisions that go into it. Yes, it means that there are fewer turns where those decisions can be made overall. So yes, naturally there's fewer chances for you to mess up. However, those few decisions impact the game very heavily. And we saw that there, two games where just a couple points of damage were the difference between Saku winning and Saku being unable to pick up a game for his team there. So now a big win for HSA as they swing back into the lead 8-6 now with 2 matches to play.
Yeah, hats off to Duwin. We were talking a little bit about Saku and the plays that he made, but I think Duwin played a pretty good series and kind of put the screws to Saku to have to make those decisions and make them the right way, or else he wasn't going to be able to get there. So, hats off to Duwin for a well-played series.
Yeah, good choices on decks as well. It clearly paid off as he got matchups. He got good matchups overall. The Mage one was the closest game that he played, the Mage versus the Hunter, that of course the stream did not get to see the ending of, so I apologize again for for the stream deciding it wanted to be done. Just didn't want to go anymore. So we are a little bit ahead of schedule now. So I'm going to go ahead and let McBanterFace and NejiBoston know that they can get into the match a little early.
You can also let McBanterFace to accept my friend invite.
That is, usually helpful.
I think it's still pending. Let's find out.
He is online right now. Well, not in game, so he is.
Okay, maybe he did accept it. Maybe not. I know those top pro players have so many invites just sitting, waiting to be accepted. So I might have just gotten lost in the shuffle. No, my request is still pending.
Well, while we're sitting here waiting for the NejiBoston McBanterFace, I'll transition the stream over to that. But we have a little bit of exciting thing there. I got a pack. Why don't we open the pack on stream? Let's see what I get.
What could be more exciting than
40 dust, right?
Pack?
Ayo, here we go.
I wish you the best.
Oh yeah. Oh, give me that stampeding Kodo.
And so as we start talking about this pro match, this is the last game of the series.
Oh, you mean we actually want to talk about it? Like,
I think,
do our job here?
We should. Yes. Donde. So I will be the voice of reason because you are clearly biased in this whole endeavor.
Slightly.
Having a place on the AEON roster, which is where NejiBoston finds himself against McBanterFace of HypeHorizen. And currently the series is 11-10. So whoever wins this series wins the week for their team. So this is a monumental match for sure. HypeHorizen has been a dominating team on the Pro Series this season. AEON is right there in the playoff race. So that match really means a lot. I mean, we're about halfway through the pro season. So for AEON to pick up this win over HypeHorizen would go a really long way to getting them into the playoffs. And for HypeHorizen, it would just be kind of one more trophy on the wall. Teams are there dominating so far in pro. So a lot on the line here tonight.
Yeah, I will say, as one of those unbiased members of the AEON squad, I did not help out tremendously this week. I ended up losing 1-3, and I will say that actually HypeHorizen took the first 2 matches of this series, so this is a bit of a comeback, almost like a reverse sweep, so to speak. If AEON is to get this, it would be a comeback for the ages, or at least. One of the better ones that AEON for the AEONs, yes, one of the better ones that I can remember as a member of AEON. So yeah, like you said, I fell the cool kid 3-1. He juked me real hard. Did not expect the classes he brought, and my chart was no bueno. and Cool Kid did what he was supposed to do, which was mop the floor with me. Liquidox handled Markshire 3-1 as well, but then, yeah, did you just dab, or was that the net?
No, it was a sneeze.
Okay, I prefer the dab. Our hat did beat D-Money 3-2, and Risen beat Gamer RVG 3-1. So yeah, this not only no sweeps anywhere in this series. A lot of close series. Well, the 3-1 didn't really feel that close. Cool Kid pretty much felt like he dominated me the whole time, but at least in points, AEON picking up a few points to keep it close.
Yeah. Hats off to Risen, my legacy teammate, for getting a big win and kind of righting the ship after he started off, I think, 0-2 in all series, and now back on 100 in several series. So, good job, Risen.
Yeah, he's such a strong player. It's hard to imagine he would stay down for very long, and it's definitely exciting to see the parity on this team, where half of us are 3-3 right now, and Ridiculous Hat is going to take that 1 seed away from me for the first time this season, which maybe that'll kick me back into gear. Who knows?
Do y'all happen to know who you're playing this week, by chance?
Off the top of my head, I do not.
Yeah, no, I was curious.
I don't look ahead, looking at the week, that we're in. Don't like to skip too far ahead.
All right, so speaking of the week that we're in, NejiBoston brought Hunter, Paladin, Priest, Warrior. That is going to be, again, a Face Hunter, a Control Warrior with the Risky Skipper package, a Control Priest with the Spellkins and Wandmakers and all that fun stuff, and the Broom Paladin. This looks like Meaty's list with 1 Pin Flinger, 1 Lightforge Blessing, the double Loot Orders. So, kind of relatively standard list. I think the Control Warrior is one that's a little bit newer into the meta. Seems to be finding a pretty good niche. And then going over to McBanterFace's decks, he's got the Demon Hunter, Mage, Priest, and Warrior. So this Demon Hunter is the Soul Demon Hunter. The Mage is a pretty standard Cyclone Mage, running the Conjurer's Calling and Arcane Intellect, so a little bit more of the late game value than some of the other lists. His Priest is, it might end up being pretty close card for card to Neji's list. I think the one difference I can see right away is that McBanterFace is running a Twilight Drake in addition to the Spellkin, so a little bit extra Dragon synergy to make sure those clerics are active, and any other Dragon options that are there. And then finally, his Warrior is a Bomb Warrior. So again, for the most part, pretty standard decks. A couple little tweaks here and there, but should be a pretty good series between 2 really good players, and both bringing pretty straightforward decks. So looking forward to this one. And we do have bans in.
We do indeed.
There, but they are both.
No, I was going to bring that up, so I'm glad you mentioned it.
Yeah, so no priests in this. So those Control Dragon priests, which just seem to line up pretty well against both lineups, will not be played. So we will be seeing Hunter, Paladin, Warrior from Neji, and Demon Hunter, Mage, Warrior from McBanterFace.
Yeah, so fans of Priest, sorry you don't get anything here in this match. You did get your one token game here in the first series, but this is it for you. So McBanterFace, as we mentioned, Demon Hunter, Mage, Warrior into that Hunter, Paladin, Warrior for Neji. So possibilities of a mirror match there with the Warrior now.
Even though they are different decks, I'm interested to see how that matchup plays out. Could be a relatively long one. Control Warrior known for extending matches well beyond their past due date, so we'll have to see how that plays out. I think at this point, we're just waiting for the players to get set up.
Yeah, at this point we are. They're both in the main menu here. Still waiting for them to ready up, but well, that's as long as the friends list is not lying to me, which it very well could be. But while we're waiting, again, I do apologize for the stream difficulties we had earlier, and in no way would a subscription have stopped OBS from deciding to crash on me. However, if you do feel the interest to go ahead and subscribe to the stream, we would greatly appreciate it. It helps us continue to bring more and more content to you, off-season prizings for our tournaments and whatnot, especially with our expansion into the Battleground series coming up this off-season and into the next set of THL seasons. So please do feel free to subscribe if you have your Twitch gaming Prime, Amazon. This is an ongoing joke for Icicles, for if you don't know, that I never remember what it's called, so I just call it by all the names it could possibly be. You can sub for free. Please also make sure to turn on notifications, because Carlbot is sometimes RIP, and you'll know when we go live.
Excellent sales pitch.
Thanks.
I would subscribe if I wasn't already subscribed.
I know you would, bud, and I greatly appreciate that.
Let me tell you, it has been worth every penny, especially all those just outstanding options you get with the channel points that are just...
Have you been talking to Mako?
No, this is my own crusade that I've been going for the entire time, because I have 130,000 channel points that I would love to do things with, and highlighting my message is not
fun, good, but not the only thing.
It's not an efficient way to reduce my number.
Speaking of highlights, this is funny. I think this might have been flashed on stream briefly as my cat walks away. You've been afraid that everyone's going to see you getting attacked by a gnat. My daughter decided to send me to the nail salon today, so I have fantastic red nails with sparkles. So if everyone can see that, she got a new frozen nail polish set. So I was the recipient of a fantastic little manicure today after I was done work.
I'm sure that you greatly appreciated that.
I do. My hands have never looked prettier than they do right now, which you know, she was excited by, so that makes me happy.
There you go. Daughter is not quite at the nail painting age yet, but I'm sure that day will come for me as well. So
it will. It very much will. I assure you. This was not a first for me. All right, they are ready.
And remember, McBanterFace will be on the bottom, Neji on top.
That is correct.
Oh my god, my friends list just completely went haywire as I clicked McBanterFace.
Oh, it's been going haywire for me for the last few minutes while I've been trying to talk to both of them.
Yeah. I'm hoping that I'm in the right game.
Yeah, I would say I think I made the right game. We might end up with my Anodon instead of McBanterFace, so we'll see.
That's what I was concerned with too. As much as I love my Anodon.
Oh yeah, my Anodon, friend of the stream, but not who we're trying to spec tonight.
Yep. Alright, so we will see McBanterFace's Cyclone Mage running up against Neji's Control Warrior. So this should be pretty interesting. I think that I would rather be the Mage in this scenario, but Control Warrior always has a couple tricks up its sleeve to just grind games out. So we'll see how this goes. Pretty good starting hand for McBanterFace. Not having the coin is unfortunate, but getting those cheap spells off the spell wings, nice little early game plays.
Yeah, lots of options here. Well, not lots of options, but you know, the early game cards for McBanterFace. So he's going to go ahead and play out one of those Violet Spell Wings, and Neji will counter with a Sky Raider, picking up a
South Sea Captain.
South Sea Captain, yes.
We got a couple other pirates in the deck, so that might find
not
some
the
use at
worst
some point.
card.
Mm-hmm. Their interface getting the Cyclone, so he is looking at a pretty good Cyclone play here at some point. Something you can be patient with, knowing you're probably not going to be under much pressure from his Control Warrior. Neji's not running any of the bombs or anything like that, so Manager can just kind of build up resources and get ready for one big Cyclone turn here in probably 3 or 4 turns. The Ankar is a pretty good pickup here for Neji, allowing him to get through the other pirates in his deck that we just mentioned a little more quickly than drawing them naturally. So, nice draw for him, being able to do that on turn 3.
And now, just a thought here as a general kind of concern where you're looking to use that devolving missiles. That would be something like Rattlegore would probably be the best target in this entire deck to hit with that devolving missiles, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I would agree. The other option is potentially Armorsmith, if it gets copied, I don't know that that's the route that Neji would go, but potentially something to look at. But yeah, Radagor would be the top target for sure, just to not have to deal with that going forward. So I would expect McBanter to just continue to be patient here and probably just ping face. He might even choose not to. Okay, so he is going to go ahead and play the Cyclone out now. Feeling like he... Yeah, probably another Arcane Missiles, honestly.
Yeah, why not? To just deal 9 damage and a bunch of spells, yeah.
Yeah, I think this makes sense. Yeah, as much as I was preaching patience, the other side of it too is maybe you don't want this game to last that long, and getting the 4 spells off the Cyclone now with the Janus follow-up seems pretty good. So, especially if you get a Mirror Image, which unfortunately not, but some more options to deal with that Radagor. So now you can be a little more liberal with the removal of the 2 Duwin missiles and 1 Polymorph.
Yeah, second evolving missiles, like you said, definitely can be used a little bit more liberally, and now polymorph means you don't even have to worry about whether or not it targets the right thing. So I guess if Radagor happens to get out of control, gets duplicated in some way, you're set. You've got options.
Yeah, so just out of nowhere, 9 damage is a little bit unfortunate for Neji, but I don't think he's too concerned about that yet. Opts to kill the 2/2, so what did he have in hand? I guess Armor Up, Shield Slam. Okay. That kind of makes sense.
Makes sense to attack the 2/2, of course. Save yourself the 1 health.
Yeah,
oh, look, another Sorcerer Apprentice. But probably not the play here. I would imagine we're going to see Jandis.
Yeah.
What makes something real?
Not the best rolls. Yeah, Stormpike Commando and an Anubisath Defender. Probably going to see that Stormpike Commando be a 4/1.
Yes. Be illusion, yeah. You might as well. Sometimes there's some thought to mind gaming your opponent, but in this case, there's no point. I think you just take the 1 damage on the 4/2 and call it a day.
And as we can see, this is an illusion. This is not an illusion.
So I wonder if Neji goes ahead and plays maybe Skipper Armorsmith and Battle Rage. He would have... That would refill his hand. He could use the coin as well to empty it, but you would fairly decently deal with this board, get a little refill. And I don't know that the coin's necessarily that valuable of a resource for you. I think you'd rather maybe get the draw here. His other options aren't super great. You Sticky Finger is never going to be good in this matchup, and you're basically sacrificing it to the 4/2 to go that route, or to any number of other things. So does look like he's going for the Armorsmith Power Rage play. So
takes out 2 minions guaranteed.
So much.
Now the hand is full.
So I think the coin is the sacrifice for that play, which I think is okay. So I wouldn't be surprised to see McBanter play the devolving that he had originally in his deck. I guess Lawmaker is always the correct starting to play, but
well, if he plays the devolving that was in his deck, the one that's on the far left of his hand, that might signify to Neji that he's got another option to deal with the Radagor later, because you wouldn't play that unless you had a backup plan. So yeah, so he plays the middle one instead.
Got it. So that way he can sort of maintain the illusion that he might not have that initial answer yet.
Yeah, I think that's the right maneuver there.
That's a fair point. The Kargath's a nice pickup here. It's having just seen a devolving makes you hope that it's going to be okay.
Of course, yes. Now. And that's the false sense of security McBanterFace is hoping to instill in Neji. Kargath will come out and take care of the 3/4, allowing Neji to finally get on the damage board with a 1 damage plink with the Pharaoh Cat. Raz Frost Whisper off the top from McBanterFace.
Interface, I think it's probably worth devolving this 4/1. I don't think you want to give Neji that Kargath Prime back in the deck, and like you said, still having the Polymorph or a future Radagor. You're kind of in an awkward spot now. You did get the extra cram session off the Cyclone, but right now it's still only drawing one. Raz is always a good pickup, but doesn't do a whole lot for you yet, other than be annoying and maybe eat a Blade Storm or something. So we'll see what he opts to do here. This is not an easy turn.
Shout out to Ron Mexico hitting Diamond 3.
Congratulations, Ron. You're almost there.
Keep grinding, bud. Keep grinding.
I don't know why you would have to hit Diamond 3 times. I don't know what he ever did to you, but, you know, congratulations, I guess.
No, Diamond's such a nice guy. Why would you do that? That's just so rude. And we do see it evolving, as you mentioned. But unfortunately, the minion that popped out is going to live. Well, unfortunately for McBanterFace anyway. It is still only a 1/1, but Raz Frostwhisper could not take care of it.
And like we were saying, it wasn't an easy turn for McBanterFace, and this is not an easy turn coming back the other way from NejiBoston. This Raz is definitely a priority target. You are not holding a Blade Storm at the moment, which would have been the easy answer. So kind of have to figure out what you want to do, how you want to deal with this Raz. You could attempt the Brawl and take a 2 in 3 chance that Raz goes away. Using a Brawl now doesn't feel particularly good, knowing that the Mage has the Mana Giants and a Conjurer's Calling, which is definitely a better option for your Brawl, but you have 2. So you do also have the Bear Out as well that gives you some options to deal with a whiteboard. So Brawl might be the best of a bunch of bad options here for Neji.
And as we talked about in the lead up here, you know, the difference in the types of decisions you're going to make in a matchup like this with Control Warrior as opposed to Face Hunter, there's going to be a lot of these turns where there's a lot of really hard decisions to make, and you know, nothing that will immediately necessarily seem correct in the moment, because you're not making decisions on how to maximize damage or anything like that. You're making decisions on how to maximize your resources in hand. Do I use Brawl now? Do I try to save it for later? And those are things that they don't necessarily seem like there's an answer to, a definitive answer to, until several turns later sometimes.
Yeah. So Neji did opt to play the Sticky Fingers. McBanterFace was a huge draw. The lab partner activating the additional draw off Cram Session and then picking up another one from the Wand Thief. I was curious if he was going to take the counter spell as just sort of like an insurance policy for something like a Brawl or another play like that, because there aren't too many cheap spells in NejiBoston's deck, especially with that Coin gone. So now his next choice is how he wants to deal with the 4/4. So Arcane Explosion is probably not going to get much more value than this. You don't expect a Warrior to go wide in any meaningful way. He's only running 1 Quartermaster, 1 Livewire Lance, so probably not going to see a flood of Black Keys. But this is pretty clean, keeps the Raz at full health, and continues to push that damage.
Yeah, 18 still, you know, not a small amount for the Warrior, and plenty of ways to go ahead and increase that. But at the same time, you're no longer going to have the Kargath Prime as an option, so there are, you know, there's a little concern here if you're Neji, and that Zephyrus is still not active.
Yeah, I think the first thing that jumps out at me right here is that Coerce you just picked up, being able to use it to kill off the Raz. You kind of want to kill the 1/3 as well, but at least being able to South Sea Coerce takes care of the Raz, and it gives you some board presence.
Yeah, that Raz lived a lot longer than most games, so I'm sure McBanterFace is happy enough with the work that it put in.
So this could be the makings of another big Cyclone turn, although having basically 6 casts of Ray of Frost and only 2 that are going to be effective on enemy minions.
Well, 3. Oh no, spell damage. I apologize. You're right.
Yeah, so this one kind of gets a little tricky, because while you love to see Sorcerer's Apprentice and a bunch of 1-mana spells and a Cyclone, you sometimes get stuck not being able to play all of them. So another tough turn.
I mean, if he really wants to, he can freeze his own stuff. You never want to freeze this Mana Giant. Never, never, never. But you could very much freeze the 1/2 and the 1/3 after they attack and not kill them.
Yeah. So I think he's trying to keep as much of that ammo as possible for the upcoming Apprentice Cyclone turn.
And there's that resource management we were talking about.
Mhm. I think that should be an indicator to Neji that he might be holding onto that, because otherwise, why wouldn't you go ahead and kill the 3/3 now with the other half of that Ray of Frost?
Very
so
true.
that should raise a warning flag to Neji that there might be some shenanigans coming up soon.
And that might also prompt Neji to try and use this brawl. Because he certainly does not want to take 8 damage if he can avoid it.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think brawl here.
Barov is another option too, though.
Yeah, I think what you're trying to save Barov and Skipper for is the second giant, particularly the one that goes with
Oh
the
no!
Hits the 25% doom scenario of leaving up this mana giant.
And he
So
might have to. He might have to use it now.
Man, I mean, yeah, that's really unfortunate. Yeah, I think he's just gonna take the chance that he lives this turn and can deal with it next turn. So, I kind of agree with that. I think.
And it pays off because there's the second mana giant.
Yeah.
But now the question becomes, does McBanterFace go all in with... I mean, there's really, I guess, not too much reason to go ahead and slam that second mana giant down immediately. You know, unless you're worried that this game is going to get out of hand in terms of the control, where you're gaining armor, gaining seizing control of the game.
Yeah, I don't think he plays it. I think it... I mean, you know that your opponent doesn't have a Blaze Storm, or didn't have a Blaze Storm last turn. So you know that's one thing gone. But there's still 2 Blaze Storms in the deck. There's still another Brawl. There's still the Barov Skipper combo. I think you're content with just one giant doing the work right now, and just waiting and seeing if your opponent can deal with this one. If you're playing 2, it's just a recipe for disaster if they can answer it.
And McBanterFace did see hesitation in Neji's end of that last turn. Obviously, he was waiting for the Brawl outcome, saw the Brawl resulted in the worst possible outcome, but still had 4 mana and didn't know what to do. So since he didn't really do, slam the hero power in advance, McBanterFace might know that there is that Barov combo in hand. We're pretty deep into the game. There's only 10 cards left in Neji's deck anyway, so it's pretty good chance that it would be in his hand right now, which is another indicator for McBanterFace to not play that second mana giant and just get blown out with that one swing turn.
Yeah, the other alternative to that hesitation was just the natural human reaction of what the bleep just happened and that mana giant lived. So.
And we'll see a lackey. That is a spell lackey. I'm not familiar with those.
So what a spell lackey does is, as the name indicates, it discovers a spell that you can then play.
I appreciate that you played that completely straight. Like, the people out there who don't know, I'm witchy lackey or die. Apparently, it's not really a choice for me, and that's a good timing there for Neji to go ahead and get rid of that 1 mana giant, because the Conjurer's Calling got picked up. However, mana giant in hand is very cheap right now and can just go ahead and get dropped. Might be the case here.
Yeah, so this is the option now for McBanterFace to potentially go off with the Cyclone. You do have at least 4 casts now for the Ray of Frost, so you can generate 4 spells. Hope to get like potentially a counter spell or some other way of keeping your mana giant conjure combo alive longer. So let's see how he ends up playing this out. And let's see what spells he gets from the Cyclone, because that could determine what his next move is. Expecting this Apprentice to die next turn and freezing it is very smart, just to get that extra spell.
Right, might as well. Another polymorph. Oh, the burn!
A lot of
oh my
there.
Goodness, yeah, that's a lot of burn. Yeah, Mana Giant now is fine. I think you've got the backup plan of, all the damage. Oh, the Abyssal? Oh, that's actually... So the Abyssal is useless for going to face.
And the Octosari could be pretty bad here.
Yeah, that's not going to put him into fatigue, but it's going to get a lot closer, and, you know, that's generally the Control Warriors game plan anyway, so...
Well, sometimes you're okay seeing Octosari because you don't have a full hand, but sitting on 7 cards means you're burning 5, or burning 6 because of the draw the next time around, so this could be trouble.
Big outcome there. An Evocation, Chenvala, and now it's all burns.
Most of these burned, I think, are going to be okay. I think most of the high value, I think One Thief is probably the worst thing that he burned there.
I would agree.
Everything else is sort of low value, or sort of like long-term value that isn't as useful here. And the fact that he's sitting on, you know, Pyroblast and a Fireball might be good enough to get him over the hump. But
well, the question is if Neji doesn't realize that he could just die here from the Pyroblast. He's got to armor up.
Yeah, less than 10, but yeah, you never know. Playing a Armor Smith down, so that's interesting.
Probably leads with the magic trick here, because if you can pick up that...
I think Chenvala is starting.
Well, Chenvala in the magic trick, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Pick up some damage.
Looking for something to deal with this. You're probably taking the Brain Freeze.
Yeah.
Just because it's cheap. Using a sheep on the Armor Smith, I 100% agree with.
It seems weird, but we know what he's got in hand, and it makes sense in that regard.
And what's interesting is that the sheep being alive makes the Bladestorm a little bit awkward. Because if you trade the sheep off, then your Bladestorm's not killing both these minions. I think that's probably okay, because you probably trade into the 5/5, and then Bladestorm and finish off the 2/5 yourself. But now starting to pick up some armor generation, getting the Evil Quartermaster, he's holding the shield block. He is now ahead in fatigue, which is a thing that we have to discuss now because of that Octosari. So this game is definitely taking a weird turn. I think he might be considering what I was talking about with the Bladestorm as option number 1. Just knowing what's left in McBanterFace's deck, having seen both Mana Giants, Frost Whisperer, Janus, and Chenvala and the Conjurer's Calling, there are very few threats left. I think the only thing you're really worried about now is the Solarian giving a prime.
Right. And Evocation, of course, is you know, a fiesta of fun. But but right now the hand is pretty full, so an Evocation is not going to generate too many spells.
Picking up Deathwing off Galakrond always feels good. A little extra juice.
Yeah, big Deathwing, and most importantly for Neji this turn, the 5 armor, because that will continue to keep him out of range of a potential lethal.
Right. So on the one hand, as McBanterFace, you're saying, okay, great, he can no longer armor up. But the downside to that is the aforementioned Shield Slam and Evil Quartermaster. So this is going to be pretty close. The downside of the shield block is the draw, and I do think fatigue is going to be a factor here.
It definitely is. Close. But I think, I mean, there aren't too, like, the other option here is to go ahead and use the Quartermaster and use the Kronks to take 5 and heal for 5.
I think that's pretty reasonable. I think you played the Galakrond partly with the intent of, wow, Dragon Queen seems pretty good.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer there, I would imagine.
Yeah, so this is going to be a deal 5. You're exactly right.
Snap pick there for Neji to go ahead and heal. There's the Solarian you talked about, and with only 1 card left in deck, it means that Prime is not very far away.
Yeah, I'm looking through Neji's list. I believe that Zephyrus and DQA should be active now. 3 cards left in the deck.
Yes, Zephyrus was active last turn, so that's entirely correct. Yep.
Got it. Yeah, because I was looking, because that being next to the Bloodstorm was throwing me off a little bit of which one was active at any given time. But yeah, so that makes sense. So I think the McBanterFace is now kind of on a, just kind of hope and pray that Prime gets there. So. But I think Neji's going to have to play the shield block here. I think he really needs to armor up. I take that back. Zephyrus does offer some pretty good healing options. Probably. Yeah,
Healing Touch maybe.
Healing Touch is probably the best one at this point because you don't want Lay on Hands.
I mean, if you really,
draw.
yeah, you can go ahead and, if you really want the max healing, go ahead and shield block, and wait till you have less mana to ensure the healing touch, because he can go ahead and heal effectively 13 this turn. Might be worth trying to figure out what is the secret first. So yeah, he's gonna go ahead and cleave first. Kills the Solarian. Tells us not a counterspell.
I think you attack with a 2/3 first. It's a minor thing, but just in case it's Flame Ward.
Yeah.
It's better to do it that way than I guess you lose the
It's Vaporize would be the other option. That you're thinking the 1/1 is a 1 damage save, and it ends up not mattering because Ice Barrier.
Yeah.
Shooty Lackey coming in.
Yeah, and so I think this is setting up that first for the healing touch.
Yes, that's exactly what's happening here. So he's not going to go ahead and shield block, but he is going to snap pick what we assume is the healing touch and play it in time. Yep. As that rope burns, a little overtime here.
So McBanterFace needs a Solarian Prime this turn and needs it to be good. I guess Evocation.
Or Evocation.
Yeah, it does give him one option here. Just to see, and then the fallback of Conjure's Calling, the Zephyrs, and hope for Doomsayer.
Well, he can cram session to guarantee the prime.
Man, that's
it's definitely risky. There's risk all over the place here, because if you cram session, you're 1 turn closer to fatigue, and of course, prime does tend to want to draw cards on occasion,
right.
Especially if he happens to Yogg box off of the prime.
It looks like that's what he's doing.
That's where we're going.
Yep. Well, let's see what happens.
What's in the Solarian Prime box? Frostbolt to start.
Good start.
It's a low value target. Power Creation's not bad. Ooh. Arcane Missile's not terrible. Oh, and it kills 2 things. Spellbender.
Blizzard. Wow, big.
Okay, that was a great Solarian Prime. Absolutely.
So now, if you're Neji, how do you deal with this board? I guess Deathwing, but
Deathwing. Yeah, I mean that's really it, right? And the Deathwing has the possibility of killing the entirety of the board, and that might be your only option here. Well, you could. Yeah. Okay, no.
There's no way you can kill your own Kronks to ensure that the Deathwing clears the board or clears the enemy minions.
I said Shield Slam goes to a Spellbender right now as well, which
yeah, but you don't have the armor for it anyway. So yeah, I think your only option now is to Deathwing and Prey. I mean, the worst case is that
it's killing 2 things.
Yeah, it's killing 2 of the enemy minions for sure. I guess the Solarian Prime is the worst thing to leave up because of the spell damage, but I think if Evocation gives you burn, you're dead anyway. So I think it has to be Deathwing here.
And the only other board clear he's got is the Bladestorm that's in hand, but that's not going to do anything here.
Ouch.
Oh, okay.
So
it gets rid of the Prime, which is at least a little bit of comfort. Takes away some of the spell damage potential, and he'll get a little damage into the face. Evocation will be the immediate play. Pyroblast is too expensive.
The only thing that gets you there, I think, is the Conjurer's Calling. So probably attack first, and then conjures your Xavius. Hope for, I guess, double charge. I think there's a couple charge minions with 6 mana.
There are, yeah. The 4 2s.
The other option you could go for is try to steward out a Fireball. But I think you probably prefer to Conjurers here, just because it's the Evocation spell.
Yeah, you've got the Steward as your, plan H at this point, essentially.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be probably Conjurers twice. I don't think any of these secrets... Interesting. He goes for... Does he think the 2 mana options are better? Does he think he wants additional 2/1s on the board?
He might be thinking, what...
Yeah.
What could I possibly get, I suppose, but...
Yeah, no, I think it's going for the 6 mana.
I like that. Yeah, he gets smart. Get an extra 2/1 and play the... Yep. Alright, Conjurer's Calling on top of that.
It's really good.
Very, very well played, yes. And unfortunately, shield block. So 2 shield blocks in Neji's hand, completely useless in this regard, and no other real way to.
So your option now is Dragon Queen into Deathwing, the original.
Or
as
Nazari.
your Nazari is fine. I think you still lose with that because the damage coming back. He gets Zeraku and Fairy Guardian. So, wow,
yeah.
What a game! Game 1
that was yeah, one game, 30 minutes of excitement there, and that is a heck of an opening match here for McBanterFace, up 1-0 now over NejiBoston with a win in game 1 with the Mage.
All right, so he's looking at Demon Hunter and Warrior coming back. I would probably expect him to. Oof, man, those are 2 decks that have bad matchups here the rest of the way. I suppose that we go with a Demon Hunter next, but it's tough because you're most likely going against a Paladin or a Warrior here in either case, and you don't really like either of those options. So
no, not very much.
So he does go with the Warrior, so opting to take his Bomb Warrior off the shelf, and we'll run into Neji's Paladin. So I will say that the Paladin that Neji's playing, the Broom version, this one I think is geared a little bit more towards aggro decks generally.
Correct.
And the Bomb Warrior has, I think, a better matchup against this Paladin than it would against a pure Paladin, for example. The healing's still there. The Lightforge Blessing is a nice addition. But there are times where the Warrior can just kind of overwhelm the Paladin before that healing comes online if they don't draw the Aldor Truth Seeker or even the Living Rooms of Hope themselves. The Warrior can't put out enough pressure to actually beat the Paladin down before the Paladin can kind of stabilize. So while I think the Paladin's still favored, it's definitely not overwhelming.
Paladin is favored here. It is a 57.7% according to Legend stats on HS Replay.
And that's a really awkward 1-drop to pick up the Depth Charge. Not one you want to see playing a first day of school on the first turn. And not being able to play a 1-drop off a first day of school also feels really bad. So not the start you wanted from Neji's side.
Yeah, hitting the hero power button is one of the last things you want to do as this Paladin. It definitely shows that your hand is not what you were hoping for. However, he will get to play Salad's Pride, or you can go ahead and play Aldor. There's no real reason to play the Aldor here. You don't have any Librams to follow it up with, so yep, out comes the Salad's Pride.
Well, no, go ahead and get your draw going. Get your Penflinger and Loot Orders and the second Broom out of your deck before you draw them naturally. And so for McBanterFace, this is probably just Shield Block. I guess there's a case to hold on to the Shield Block for a future use with Shield Slam and just armor up here. I don't think you give more than a couple seconds thought to risky Skipper Armor Smith. I guess it does clear this board nicely and use your mana efficiently. And Paladin doesn't have an easy way of clearing because this list that Neji's running doesn't run a weapon other than the Leader of Justice, which is not going to be used on this board and also costs 5 mana. So yeah, I think this is fine from McBanterFace. There's a good chance this lives and basically prevents Neji from doing anything useful on this turn. So I kind of like that, actually, the more I think about it. And obviously seeing him play it.
Yeah, that's a situational play that I don't think a lot of players would ever make. But like you said, as you think through it and have that time to really absorb the options that could really backfire on you, it makes a lot of sense.
So I'm thinking Neji wants to clear this probably with a Broom. We'll see which minions he chooses to use here. I don't think you're that concerned about the armor gain. So you probably go ahead and use the Loot Order and not the Pyro. The Pyro is a little more valuable. So just going ahead and getting rid of this Armor Smith now. You're not as worried about the Skipper, I don't think, but we'll see what he ends up choosing here.
And you're exactly correct. The Armor Smith is the first to go.
And here comes the Depth Charge. Getting some value after all.
It did get some value. Why not play it? There's probably... It's just going to take out a 1-2 here. That's okay.
I think that's as good as you could have possibly hoped for.
I will say I don't know if I've ever seen the golden animation for this card before.
It does look pretty cool.
It is actually
It
very
really
cool
does
animation.
explode.
It's unfortunate the card is so often unplayed, but there it goes. It explodes and it's gone.
Big pickup there for Neji. The exact card you want on turn 5. The
Definitely.
Outdoor True Seeker. I don't know if you... I guess the reason not to play it is that it just goes straight into a Blaze-Storm, but you just saw McBanterFace play the Corsair Cache knowing that he's got Orange Caliber in hand, so...
Right.
Interesting. Okay. I guess the other thing, too, is that he's up to 10 armor, so maybe this board feels a little more sticky
Yeah, a little more
than
resilient,
4-6.
definitely.
Yeah, which is an interesting thing to say, but yeah.
And ultimately, you don't really mind getting whacked in the face here by Orange Caliber. I'd imagine 3 damage is, in the grand scheme of things, you've got enough healing in your deck that it's not a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. And you're able to chip away this armor a little bit now to make that a little less useful. I do like playing the Pupil here. Even at full cost mana, it is a really awkward minion for the Warrior to deal with, and often is the MVP of this matchup. So, a good call there.
There's a Corsair Cache pickup, but both Orange Calibers in hand already.
There's a temptation from McBanterFace's side just to go ahead and brawl this. A lot of times, Paladins, once they start playing the big minions, stop hero powering so that the brawl becomes less useful. This might be one of the better brawls you get, absent the upcoming McGurgle Prime that will eventually be coming down. But let's see what he opts to do. He could just opt to draw, kind of take it a little bit slower, but if he does, then he's out of armor. So, a couple interesting choices here.
What now?
I'm curious if you do draw what you're kind of looking for from this board, but I think brawl just makes sense.
And that's what we will see.
Oh, we left that careful. I think that's okay. Put 2 bombs in Neji's deck, and picks up the second Outdoor True Seeker.
I'm going to throw the
Plays the first one, and those Librams are getting cheap, but only the Libram of Justice in hand so far. And nothing to Justice.
So I'm wondering here, McBanterFace, okay, so he's going to equip the second Image Caliber. I was wondering if he gave any consideration to coining Deathwing. But I think this is pretty good use of the Shield Slam and getting more bombs going. So,
Agreed.
Kind of what I said at the outset,
Lines up
where
well.
where the Warrior can sometimes overwhelm the Paladin. This is sort of looking like one of those types of games. If Neji's not able to find his healing, those bombs are going to start adding up in the deck. Now, the only thing is, this would be the last weapon swing for McBanterFace for a while, unless he draws Krasinov or an upgrade.
Right.
I think he also has...
Is he running a Pillager? I believe he's running a Pillager.
He's running, yeah, 1 Pillager, 2 upgrades, and a Krasinov. So there are ways to increase the duration of this weapon, but there also are ways to take advantage of bombs in the deck.
There are indeed.
So,
but it looks like Deathwing will be the play this turn. And that will clean up this entire board alongside the Orange Caliber swing. And leave a 12-3 on board. I think that there's plenty of ways here that Neji can go ahead and get rid of it, though.
yeah, I think, I mean, the obvious way is the Lemur Justice, and wow, draws the Gurgle right
Why
away.
not?
That's pretty funny. So now I think this becomes tempting to Liram, Penflinger, play the McGurgle, and then a Wisdom on one of the Murlocs.
Well, do you want to
So
Penflinger first here and just get the damage?
No, because you don't have the mana to do that. You have to,
you're right.
You want to play it one time. Having played this deck a lot, that is always the
you gotta count better than I was counting, for sure.
The tricky part is that that's pretty good pickups here.
Good,
yeah,
good. Not only that, it was early on in the spawn too.
Right. Yeah. So having already seen one brawl, you feel pretty good about this board sticking. You will get the bad news that the second brawl has already been picked up by McBanterFace. But yeah, I think that was still the correct play by Neji. As good as you can do in that situation. So I don't know. I guess is there an anchor in his list?
That would be the only thing you'd want to pick up off of Corsair Cache at this point. But I don't know if you necessarily want to play it because you would really probably rather guarantee yourself getting a Wrench Caliber out of your.
Right. Yeah, I think he's at the point where he's banking on getting there before the healing comes. So all the damage is going base from this point forward.
Yep, absolutely. And the outcome of the brawl was not too bad for Neji as far as what he would have liked to survive. That was probably one of the top minions there, since the Murgle itself was, or Murgurgle. Sorry, I'm not a PhD in Murloc talk, but that was one of the better Murlocs to have survived. And now we've entered the race phase of this game, with Blastmaster Boom looking very, very strong this turn.
Yeah, I think Blastmaster is okay. I think it's probably your best option. The other option is you can just go ahead and throw down your Pillager to get the bombs going again. But I guess maybe wait one more turn.
Sure.
Here, so.
And it's fine to attack first and use up one more charge of that Ankar while you have it.
Right.
But you definitely want to play the Horde Pillager before that Ankar gets destroyed on its own.
Yeah. So now this becomes a little bit awkward for Neji. Still not getting that healing. So he is in a kind of a tough spot. Yeah, I think your options here, put as much on the board as you can, and then probably Pyro, Adal, the 5/4.
Well, do you Abusive Sergeant the 5/4?
Yeah,
set?
I think you do that first. Yeah, you do that just to guarantee. And you might as well throw your Pinflinger out.
Yeah, it's another body. It's another thing that can absorb a potential.
Well, the Pinflinger's coming. Yeah, Pinflinger's coming back in your hand when you play the spell to do that. You just want to use it to use the mana.
Of course, yeah. You're not going to run into mana issues this turn.
But yeah, no, I think you're right on the sequencing. I think it's the Sergeant first into the 5/4. He plays a dog and he doesn't have. So I guess he's not going to Pyro. I think he's going to choose not to throw all that damage out. But I think this is a little bit risky to do it this way. Oh, the Life Force Blessing is a big pickup. He's just going to flood the board and put as much as he can face, and then, okay, so he was rewarded for doing it this way.
Yeah,
being able to Pyro into the Life Forge to clear this and have a pretty decent board.
Get a bunch of health, yeah.
And a little bit risky to play that hand when he did. Not being guaranteed, but I think his thought process was if he didn't use the Pyro to clear the bombs, he was going to be okay with that outcome.
Yeah, that was. I mean, not that you could possibly know for sure that you were going to draw it, but that ended up being the best outcome I think that he could have had, and he didn't really take a whole lot of damage to face.
Yeah, it worked out pretty well. But now McBanterFace comes back with the Horde Pillager upgrade that we were thinking, and another cutting class. Wow. I don't think there's any concerns about fatigue quite yet. That is, I guess, the one hesitation, but I think he's expecting this game to be over before that point.
And now all the removal, but really just, it looks like he's digging for that Krasnov, because you really want this Wrench Caliber to last as long as humanly possible and do as much damage as it can. Skyvateer off of the
probably not what you wanted. Yeah, a low impact minion that draws you fire.
The draws, of course, as we're getting to the end of your deck. And as you mentioned before, all damage is face bound at this point. 5 bombs in deck for Neji. Not a bomb.
But not healing either, so he's on a clock. He does have the second half of the Life Force Blessing, which is a reasonable safety net, but not a good target for it at this point.
Yeah, you'd really like to pop that onto a 8/8 that pops out of Libram of Hope if you can, if it can survive. I mean, there are Blade Storms in hand, and Neji knows what cards are in the deck. This is open list. Big rusher in that fishy. Spectral Flyer. Fishy Flyer is the front half, Spectral Flyer is the back half. Does pick up a bomb.
It's interesting he's putting the Libram. Did he put the Libram on 6-5? He should put it on the 1-1. So the 1-1 can go
Oh,
face.
no, he's gonna light forge it.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
So maximize the
he gonna heal.
Yeah, I think that's right. So what I said about there not being a great target for it has been
he made his own target. Yeah, he built it up from the ground up, and now it's protected. You know, a little bit from Blade Storm. Like you'll have to finagle around here to try and get it to die from a Blade Storm, or you can just use that Lord Barov and clear off this board. But if you're doing that now, you're not using that on the 8/8s that you've yet to see any of the Libram of Hopes, and they are discounted pretty significantly. But mana is not an issue for Neji at this point.
I think your other option too is a skipper play. Do you have enough? Well, not quite. Depends on what you drew from Skyriders, because you can. Yeah, you would need. Yeah, you don't have enough minions yet to be able to Skyrider or skipper this down. So he's going to do the bear off now and rely on the Blaze Storms to handle the 8/8s when they come out. But 8/8 with a hero power makes that a little bit awkward.
And he'll pick up some armor as well. Shield Slam is the draw.
Yeah, I mean, he's still, I think, in a winning position until Neji draws those 8/8s. But, I mean, Jancy just draws the bombs first. And
5
any
bombs
draw,
in deck. 5. So a third of the deck is now bombs, too.
Yep, and any draw is risky. Not what you want to see from Neji's side to get another blue order. I mean, it draws you closer to the Librams of Hope, but there's more bombs than Librams now, so it starts getting a little dicey.
Yeah, this is going to really come down to the draws at this point for Neji. Also, Galakrond sitting in McBanterFace's hand. It's been on the left side of that hand now for a while. Unplayed. We're down to 4 cards in deck for McBanterFace. Galakrond, probably the play, barring a better pickup this upcoming turn, but I don't really see what's in the deck that I would prefer to have, other than maybe a second upgrade.
Yeah, Krasnov in the upgrade, just a powerful weapon.
Here's a draw, it's Abyss. Okay. This now could be a Libram of Hope. It could also be a bomb.
That is true, it does draw bombs, so I think he just realized that, and he's debating, but I think
he's invested, I think, at this point.
Yeah, that's a tough call, but sometimes you kind of have to. There it is, the bomb.
There's the upgrade, and that is just it.
Lethal, yeah.
Yeah, the bomb draw was, I mean, yeah, there were so many bad draws there for Abyss at that point, and Krasnov gets the gold star treatment off of Galakrond, but that doesn't really matter at all because this game is over.
Yeah, no, I think the hesitation with him remembering as he played it that he could draw bombs off of it, but like you said, he was kind of committed at that point, and I mean, you almost have to. I mean, you could have waited and not activated the spell burst, but I mean, you're in a really tough spot there, and sort of had to take that risk.
The line he took at that point was full commitment to try and get the hope, the Libram of Hope. I mean, granted, the other thing too is if he gets a Libram, it doesn't heal him; it heals the Abyss. So it wouldn't have been necessarily. It would have been a delay, but it wouldn't necessarily have ended stabilized him, so to speak. And we're gonna see Paladin again, and this time it's a Demon Hunter, the last deck for Neji. Or from McBanterFace, rather.
Right. So his Demon Hunter list, pretty standard Soul Demon Hunter. He is running a Pillager and 1 Consume Magic, which is pretty decent in this matchup. Otherwise, it's just about what you'd expect. No Battle Fiends. So just more of the IU face damage list. So Soul Shear is interesting here to go off the 1/3. You don't necessarily feel too pressured by it, and then you have to debate whether or not you want the Soul Shards in your deck this early. So he may just opt to wait, but the alternative is your opponent can buff this 1/3 into a little bit harder of a kill, so I think killing it now makes sense.
Yeah, spot removal is not something that the Soul DH does particularly well. I mean, single target spot removal, like you got Blade Dance and whatnot, but you don't want to use that on a single minion if you can avoid it. I will say Neji is one of the first real, true, leaders in Soul DH technology, so to speak. So if anybody's going to know how to counter the Soul DH deck, it would be NejiBoston, as he is very experienced on this deck.
Yeah, and it's interesting that he didn't bring it. Being his teammate, I don't know if you have any particular insight into that, or if it's fair to share. But it is interesting that you would opt not to choose that deck in a week where the conventional wisdom was that Soul DH might be the best deck in the game.
Yeah, it's not going to share the prep secrets of the trade there,
sure.
but at the same time, yeah, I mean, it's one of those situations where people know Neji for Soul DH. He's the one who kind of crafted most of this list that is used in general, and the tech cards that surround it and whatnot. So sometimes players know you for a deck and they can start to target that deck, but it's always risk, because I mean, if the deck is that good, you bring it anyway. You don't care if they try to target it.
Yeah, there's definitely kind of a push-pull there on how much you give credit to your reputation versus how much you just rely on your abilities for the deck anyway. So yeah, tough call always. But this is a good matchup for the Paladin. Obvious that Neji would pick this of the 3 choices that he has to counter the Demon Hunter. We'll see if he gets a little more fortunate with the healing, which can definitely swing this matchup pretty hard in the Paladin's way.
Soulshear is a clean removal of that 4/3 now, though I'm sure McBanterFace would love to try and get that Skull of Gul'dan into playable territory if he can.
Yeah, no, I think you opt, because you don't really have anything else to do with your mana if you play the Soulshear, so I think the Adept makes a little more sense, just to put a little more presence on the board, essentially push a little more damage. As much as you like seeing that 4 damage go face, it's probably better in this case to have the 6/4 on the board than not. And so Neji finds the card that was missing last game in the Libram of Hope, so already feeling better about his chances, I imagine, with that card in hand.
And the Elder Truth Seeker is playable this turn. It is, however, perfectly countered by that 6/4. But out it comes anyway. And then Libram of Wisdom will put it out of range, at least as is. McBanterFace playing very quickly, just throws that Soul Shard Lapidary into the mix and is going to go ahead and clear off the Truth Seeker with Face and the Jailer.
I think that was a pretty clean turn, so no surprise that McBanterFace is playing that quickly. And then Neji with the response of the 6 mana Libram of Hope always feels pretty good. And Kane off the top is nice.
Why not?
It's not quite what you want just yet. I mean, there's I guess the option of just playing it and just setting everything face anyway, but that's pretty risky, because then your Kane is almost certainly dead, and then what? So
yeah, there's future Librams of Hope, at least one more potentially to come down.
Yeah, so I think what he might end up doing here, there's the option of taking 9 more face damage to clear his Divine Shield. The other option is you could play the Mystic now and use the Soul Shear as well, along with the what would then be a 6/1 to clear this 9/9 and keep a 5/2 alive, along with your 3/2, knowing that the deck doesn't run Consecrate. It saves you 9 face damage and uses 1 extra resource from hand, but it might be worth it, and it does give you the skull in the far left.
Yeah, I would agree that as a whole seems to be the best use of the turn. It is scary putting yourself down that low, but opt for the Soul Shear. Oh,
so he is doing
it's just a different order. Yep.
Right. Yeah. So I think I think the other thing too is you still have another Warblades in the deck, and you still have 4 Soul Fragments in the deck. So you do have healing coming back if you wanted to tank that face damage, but it is a little bit dicey. Paladin's not generally a class that's going to burst you down, but the Pinflinger is always a threat, especially with that Libram in hand. So speaking of Librams, Neji picks up the second Libram of Hope, which is maybe not the play this turn, but definitely feels pretty good. I would expect something to do with the Broom this round to take out these two elf minions, along with maybe some Pinflinger shenanigans. The Pinflinger free Libram of Wisdom Broom combo is really nice.
Definitely. Abyssallura now cannot pull the Libram of Hope. Could pull a second Libram of Wisdom. Justice is another option here, and that's what it is.
Cool. Oh. there is Justice. That makes this even easier. So Pin Flinger, and then Hand of the Doll, your Lure, and then just face tank the 3-1. Feels pretty good.
Right. And knowing that you've got that Light Forward Blessing in hand, it's definitely fine to go ahead and take 3 damage. I mean, you're probably fine regardless of the Light Forward Blessing being in hand with the Leap from Hope being in hand, but it feels even better. And now McBanterFace starved a little bit for options here, probably going to Skull Gul'dan.
Yeah, I think you kind of have to in this situation. You're hoping for that
I would say hope for that Consume Magic. It did not show. Or Wand Maker, of course, into Consume Magic. A couple Soul Fragments.
A couple of fragments as well.
Alas, poor warlock.
And
yeah,
as we see, the Mana Feeder Panthara does not get the discount because it was drawn after the fragments. Little interaction there with the Skull of Gul'dan not discounting the card because technically the Soul Fragment was the discounted card.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if he just plays a 2-mana 6/4. I think that's somewhat reasonable. It feels bad. You could just play a 2-mana 2/3 and forego the draw. I think I'd rather play the 6/4 if you do anything. And you could opt to just Hero Power and save those cheap damage options and draw options for future turns. So, not the greatest Skull draw for the moment, but does give him some options for future. Free Blade Dance is always good. So. A free Devout Pupil. Feels pretty good. Well, let's begin Pinflinger shenanigans. I wonder if he just drops the Blessing of Hope. I guess probably not yet. Life Force Blessing does make sense though. Cheap spell activates your Pinflinger. He might opt to hold the free 4/5. I think with the 1/1 on the board, you probably should play the 4/5, but opts to hold it back. Maybe concerned with Blade Dance getting too much value. But I would have liked to have played it just to have more on the board and be more threatening. Consume Magic off the Wand Maker draws the second Consume Magic. Feels pretty good. So we could, if you wanted to, clear this 3/6 off with Lapidary and Hero Power. You could also opt to use a free Blade Dance, but I think it's more likely he would just face tank it. Not sure what's the best option here. I'd kind of like saving the free Blade Dance, particularly with that Consume Magic in hand. You're not feeling threatened yet, so yeah, I think he's going to play a little more long-term with the Mana Feeder.
Picks up the Chaos Strike, which is nice with the blades going down for a little extra healing going forward.
So let's see what Neji opts to do. Pretty much every turn is going to start with a Pinflinger, I think, from this point forward. Just a good way of fitting in mana and just continually pinging face. In this case, he might ping a minion just to help with the blood clears. So let's see what he opts for. Playing Weaver and Wisdom. Brings back Pinflinger, which can then finish off the 2/1. And then he can run the 2/2 into the 2/3 potentially. Could also just face tank the 2/1.
Yeah, face tank seems fine here. Again, no health concerns whatsoever. And this board is now awkwardly wide for McBanterFace. The Blade Dance won't take everything out at once.
No, pretty good position here. Let's see, the closest he could do is now he has to attack first, and if he attacks first, then he's not getting healing. So we might see a Consume Magic on
yeah, I would say you
4/5.
can pump up the blade first with Twin Slice Chaos Strike and hope you get a playable card to try and outcast the Consume for an extra draw.
Yeah.
But if you don't, you say, okay, whatever, that's not a big deal. And then you can go ahead and Blade Dance a few things down and then use Glavebound as well.
So I wonder if
I grow impatient.
he ends up putting a lot of damage here, plays Consume Magic on the 4/5. The damage goes face, the Blade Dance still comes out, and then maybe you follow up with a Glaive Bound if you need to kill off target. Yeah, probably not what he was looking for.
No, that is probably literally the worst draw he could have seen right there, because that Consume Magic is not going to be outcastable.
So he chooses to Consume Magic off the Libram, basically thinking that...
hoping the Blade Dance hits, and it does hit the 4/5, allowing him to heal.
Yeah. It's an interesting risk, but definitely got to pay off from it, so...
Yeah, it worked out.
Now that Neji's picked up the Adrin, we probably see the second Libram of Hope get played this turn. We still have a Broom, so there might be a way that we can clear this board. Let's see, what would we need to happen?
Which path?
Play the Aldor, which discounts it to 4. We can then play the Broom behind it. So we could use the Broom here and clear this board.
Yep, that's exactly what's going to happen.
Pretty nice. So he actually keep his 4/6 alive as well by throwing the Broom into the 5/1. So he keeps throwing up.
And gets one to face. You know, every damage matters. Especially with a matchup like this where there's lots of healing going back and forth.
Right. And because of use of the Lapidaries, the Mystic earlier, and a couple draws out the Skull, this Sociologist is only +1. So we will
not
pump it
going
up
to
a
do a
little
whole
bit.
lot here. Well, I mean, can get pumped to 3, but can't be played this turn.
Exactly.
And not a whole lot of good options. So you're looking at 13 damage on board, 14 with the weapon, which means for Neji, it's just lethal, actually, if he plays Liadrin. Because Liadrin will give you, what, 5 Librams?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember how many he's played before they got silenced. Kane is gonna kind of, from that standpoint, kill off this 4/1.
Yeah,
so...
using Kane ends the possibility of a win here for Neji. However, still not a whole lot of good options. Yeah, it's only a matter of time, as you said. Liadrin will give a bunch of Librams, and we're gonna see some Penflinger. Nope, never mind. We're not gonna see any of that. We're not going to see any of that, because McBanterFace knows that it's just lose this turn or lose the next turn, doesn't really matter.
Right. Alright, so that's 1 game back for Neji, and his next option to go into this Soul Demon Hunter, I would guess, is going to be the Warrior. Because the base Hunter is really disadvantaged, and I think the Warrior is very much favored. So, I would expect this to be the Warrior.
You expect correctly.
Embrace the chaos.
And here we go into game 4. And you know, as an unbiased observer of fun Hearthstone, I'm just excited that we didn't witness back-to-back sweeps tonight. We get to see a little bit more action and see if Neji can claw this game back. As a biased observer, go Neji. Just kidding. We stay professional here.
Yeah, I think there's a good chance that he pulls this into a game 5. I think the Control Warrior, one of the reasons why it's picking up in popularity is because of its good matchup into the Demon Hunter. I think it has sort of extended the things that Warrior does well against the Demon Hunter, and is less reliant on the bombs, which can sort of either not be drawn by the Demon Hunter or be healed. So the Demon Hunter sort of brought that matchup closer to 50-50, whereas the Control Warrior is just simply removing all of the threats from Demon Hunter and armoring up through the damage that the Demon Hunter has in a very high quantity, but it is a limited quantity. So we'll see how this plays out. But pretty good start for Neji being able to get the Livewire Lance online, prevent any repeated chip damage from the minion, and start to generate some resources of his own.
And now, as we talked about before, the Rattlegore has to be the target of choice for that Consume Magic in this deck for McBanterFace.
Yeah, most likely.
Mana Feeder Panthara gets the draw. The Warblades, not ideal with already a pair of Warblades in hand. And a Marrow Slicer, of course, as well.
Right.
Too
yeah,
many
all,
weapons.
all the weapons.
All the weapons. Would be happy to see a few fewer weapons.
It's interesting he goes ahead and uses the coin there. I guess he just wants to try to get some sustained damage from minions, even if it's just a 1/3.
Yeah, they're both minions that can't be cleared easily with what Neji's got on board, aka a weapon that deals 2 damage. So I don't mind that. And Bladestorm, if you're going to use Bladestorm on me here, I think McBanterFace considers that to be fine.
Yeah. Commencements? Interesting. I think there's some really bad targets for it, so I think Shield Slam is the correct choice.
Yeah,
but
Commencement is one of those cards that's real sexy, but unless your deck is tailored to it, you probably aren't going to want to choose it.
I think you also have too many battle cries that you would much rather get the effect from than just have a 3/2 Zephyrus with Divine Shield and Taunt. So
I grow impatient.
So it seems from McBanterFace's perspective that playing Marrow Slicer makes sense. I guess he could also opt to Hero Power Mana Feeder.
Is that too slow against a Control Warrior, though, is the question.
Yeah. I think the fact that he has the weapons in hand, yeah, so Warblades also makes sense because the healing's not really that useful in this matchup. Like you're not going to lose because your health hits 0, even though that's eventually what happens. You're going to lose because you can't get the warrior to 0. So I think playing a weapon now is probably fine. You don't care that you're not going to get that much healing out of it. You just need to...
Yeah, that and the draw damage. At this point, you don't want to draw those soul fragments, at least at that juncture you didn't, since the healing was absolutely useless to you. So putting more soul fragments into the deck doesn't necessarily help, and well, now it does because you've got Militia.
Yeah, so I would expect this to be a swing, and next turn to be Marrow Slicer, with the hope that your Militia gives you a board that he doesn't have Brawl for. But using all of his mana to do as much damage as he can, I think is absolutely correct in this situation.
Yeah, every swing
every turn
possible needs to go face here to outpace the Control Warrior. You see a second lackey, another one of those big warrior cards, Dimensional Ripper. Again, not necessarily too helpful, though it is only 2 copies of a minion. It's not as destructive to your battle cries, but overall, probably playing 10 mana for like, you know, what, maybe 12 stats at most.
Yeah,
like
that's not a choice.
Yeah, not ideal.
Works. So see the ops to go ahead and clear this 2/3. I think you do, and then probably follow up with Armor Up Shield Block. I guess Shield Block first because we don't tap blast. So this could be Wandmaker's a decent draw.
Yeah, pairs up real nice with Marrow Slicer.
Yeah, it does die immediately to the 4/2 or to the Ankar, but I mean that's probably fine. The other option here is just Hero Power and just continue to do as much damage as possible. So
that's what we'll see. I suppose this gives the option of the Wandmaker. Surprise! I got a second Twin Slice, or third Twin Slice technically.
Right.
But Lapidary is in hand. So Lapidary plus double Twin Slice and Marrow Slicer next turn is 13 damage, is a lot of damage.
Yeah, definitely adding up. We'll see if he opts to still play the Militia next turn, because it at least gives 4 and it probably still eats a Brawl. That still lets him swing behind it, and he does have another weapon in hand, so he'll be able to keep swinging every turn, it seems, if he opts to go with the Militia next turn. From Neji's perspective, not a whole lot to do. Most of his hand is pretty reactive. He has the Risky Skipper Armor Smith combo, along with the Battle Rage if he needs it. He's got an inactive Zephyrus, probably won't be active for a while. Just gonna go ahead and play Battle Rage now. Interesting. Okay. I guess he doesn't really have much else to do with his mana, so with a full hand and mostly reactive stuff, this isn't that bad of an idea. I would expect him to not swing with the Ankar here based on that play.
Just burns the Inner Rage to not overdraw and look at the tap in.
Yeah, it's interesting that he chose to save the swing on the Ankar and use the Battle Rage for draw, but I guess his hand was full no matter what, so he's kind of in an awkward spot there.
Now we see Kane, more damage to face, and that Twin Slice pickup off the Wandmaker is humongous. Though it makes me wonder if he would have rather saved the Kane for the Twin Slice burst. However, that's not the case here.
I don't think you're worried about any taunts from the Warrior side. The only thing would be a Titanic Lackey, and you've already seen... I think you've seen both of the Lackeys.
You've seen both the Lackeys off the existing Lance, so yeah, you'd have to see another Lance and then another random generated Lackey, which would be, of course, a long shot.
Yeah, there's no other live wire Lance in the deck, just an Evil Quartermaster. So one more Lackey generation left. But other than that, yeah, that's it for potential taunts. I guess you've seen the generated spell as well, so no chance for that random give 2 random taunts. So.
And we see the Shield Slam again. This is a hand management game for Neji at this point, making sure there's never an overdraw. Galakrond did get picked up as well with the second Battle Rage, so continues to have lots of options in hand.
I guess there is theoretically a chance for a taunt from Hinchclan Burglar into some sort of generated spell that generates taunts. So,
and this is exactly what McBanterFace is thinking about this entire time.
Right, exactly.
Is how do I avoid a taunt off of the Hinchclan Burglar that he generated randomly?
I think he's already made his choice that there is very likely not going to be a taunt, so not having Kane isn't that big a deal. So get damage while you can. But at this point, the skull on the right is very tempting. But if you do that, you run the risk of drawing more of your fragments and really weakening this Militia. And this Militia right now just this board pretty well. So he does opt to go for the skull. Okay. Picks up the second skull, picks up another Twin Slice.
Oh my goodness, so much Twin Slice damage.
A lot of Twin Slice damage. So he's going to use that to kill the Armor Smith and throw 4 damage face.
Smart move. I think that's right. You got to get rid of the armor generator if you can.
So we're looking at 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 15 damage from hand at most, based on the cards available to McBanterFace.
Not on this upcoming turn, because he would have
no, not on this turn.
Than
but the
yes.
max with the mana. Correct. Yeah.
And plus he has a Warblades in hand, so he can go ahead and equip that. So that's a lot of damage.
So we probably see that Warblades get developed first. We could see, depending on what he draws, the Warblades plus the second slice plus whatever he draws, if it's cheap enough, and then into that cheap skull, just to have a little more generation. Because he could be looking for a cheaper Lapidary, a cheaper Adept again, even a cheaper Marrow Slicer. Could be really potent. So some pretty good options here for McBanterFace to get a discount.
Not great choices. Takes the 9 lives. I'm trying to think what Death Rattle he would have. Oh, Rattlegore. Okay.
Yeah, Rattlegore's one. The Barrow's another. Once he's played that, but
he has not played Barrow yet.
Kargath Bladefist would be the other.
So okay, yeah, 9 lives, very good pickup for this deck then.
Yeah, some decent options should be in run. And he picks up the Sticky Finger, so if McBanterFace does develop this Warblades, Neji can at least grab it to give himself a little bit of life.
And we do see a Soul Fragment get drawn, but we also see a Spirit Jailer, so that's going to actually make Militia better, has a net positive for Militia if he chooses to use it this turn.
Yeah, I think he's going to set up that cheap skull here.
That's what we see.
Alas, poor warlock.
Picks up the second Mystic, the Marrow Slicer. Probably just going to go ahead and play that Marrow Slicer now, yeah.
And the Gas Strike as well, right? Or do you wait to see what, yeah, I guess you wait. Alright, so now our max damage is, let's see, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13, 15 again, plus a Hero Power 16.
And the 4 on board.
Assuming the weapon sticks and the minion stick. So this is going to be lethal. He's going to jump to 19, and you've got 16 from hand. or 15 from him plus the hero power. So that's it. I think McBanterFace has got this.
I was gonna say, other than if he was to draw every soul fragment in the deck in a row, but he will not. And yeah, Neji can't possibly be expected to play around the third and fourth Twin Slice, which is absolutely brutal as far as draws are concerned. And Neji is just sitting here seeing the damage go up, 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 and wonder how the heck did this just happen to me? That I died from 19.
Pretty crazy. And Wanmaker MVP this game.
So HypeHorizen and McBanterFace will win 3-1 and take the week 15-11 over AEON.
Yeah, that was. I mean, it was well played by both players.
Definitely.
You know, I think the draws there, getting the generated Twin Slices, is the reason why you run Wanmakers, is to help swing what might otherwise be an unfavorable matchup. But overall, navigated pretty well. Like using damage every mana he got. To give himself that opportunity to have that big burst at the end. Really well done by McBanterFace. And I think Neji also made good decisions throughout the series. Just didn't go his way. But well played by both players, and congrats to HypeHorizen on another big win.
Yeah, I think this the series lived up to everything that we could have possibly hoped it would, based on the players. And we're going to get McBanterFace in here for an interview real quick. So let me get him added in Discord. And then hopefully we can get him to join.
Hello.
Hey, congratulations.
Hello.
Thank you, thank you.
Well played, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was we can hear you just fine. Can you hear us?
Perfect. Yes, we're good.
All right. So I guess let's just start with that last game. So that's a lot of Twin Slices, man.
Yeah, that was a ridiculous amount of tin. It was too many.
Well, not. I mean, it was just enough for you. Too many for Neji, for sure.
Yes. Yes.
I guess, and we were talking, but you can't really, as the controller, there expect to play around that.
Oh yeah.
So there's
Definitely
no real way that he could have conceivably staved off that lethal unless he had, the 300 IQ play of knowing that you picked up that many Twin Slices. But I guess, that wasn't necessarily a very favored matchup for you, lineup-wise. What were your thoughts as far as the Soul DH? What were you trying to target with that?
I just feel like Soul DH has a really nice spread across most of the meta decks right now. It's really good against Mage. It's decent enough against Warrior, at least like normal Bomb Warrior, which most people tend to run, and it's pretty good against Priest. This lineup in particular that Neji brought was definitely a little bit scary for it. Because he had a lot of weapon tech, or maybe not a lot of weapon tech, but he had a couple weapon techs in like a few of his decks, and Paladin is always a tough matchup as well, so I was a little bit concerned about that, but just keep generating Twin Slices and figured we'd end up getting there. It's good against Hunter as well. Yeah, I think it's just a good deck for the meta. Yeah,
Hunter was the one, and chat mentioned this as well, that was the one that Neji could be reasonably expected to get to Game 5, in most cases there, but Hunter would have struggled, so you were still favored to close out the series, and not to mention that you did close out the series and getting the win for HypeHorizen, so congratulations as a team getting the win there, and you guys are on a bit of a streak now.
We are. It took us a little bit of time, but I think we're all kind of getting the hang of it, and we're having a good time.
Yeah, I was going to ask, how are you and the rest of the team feeling about THL? I know all of you are high ladder players and certainly had lived up to the hype name coming into the season, but we were all curious how y'all would translate that to a sort of quasi tournament format. So how do you even like your THL experience so far compared to ladder grinding?
I've been having a really good time. I think it's definitely something different, which is nice because you can play as many games you want on ladder, but you never can really replicate like a tournament experience. And I feel like this is a great way to do that. Especially like going into the next Masters Tour and also for the last Masters Tour. It's really nice practice. I get to like test lineups, play against really good players. I feel like the overall quality of the league seems really good to me. Like I recognize a lot of the names in here, a lot of good players, people who qualify for Masters Tours, and so it's kind of like a good test for me, I suppose. I think the rest of the team feels the same way. Like we get more of a challenge than maybe on average on ladder, and it's just a different experience. But I like it a lot.
Yeah, it's cool to see an established team like yours come in and do really well. We saw that last season with the Washi Mishas, a college team, and you as a collective. Now we've seen Amberflight Gaming come in. We've had a couple other professional organizations. Apparently, Attack Mode wants to come in next season too. So that
Right.
level of competition is only going to go up. But it is cool to see more organizations get involved, especially with the Pro Series, because players like you and Liquid Ox and Cool Kid, other players on your team, all live up to that moniker of the Pro Series. It definitely shows. Like I played against one of your teammates a few days ago, and it definitely it feels a lot more tense playing against players of your caliber. So it is cool that you guys bring that that desire to the Pro Series that. Not that we've been lacking necessarily, but it's just good to have organizations that are focused on it like you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, we're doing our best to just win every week. We're kind of taking it week by week. We talk a little bit about lineups, and like I said, it's great prep for like Masters Tours as well. So yeah, thanks for doing this.
Yeah, no, we're always up for more challenge, and challenge your team provides. Of course, I think universally had you guys as the #1 seed in Pro going into the season, and that doesn't usually happen with teams that are brand new. But all of you, every single player on your team has a pedigree that we all are aware of. So is that added stress knowing that you guys are coming into this, THL is new to you. You're not inexperienced in a tournament format, but knowing that the expectations are so high, was that in any way concerning? Or I know week 1 you guys happened to lose, but that didn't really keep you down for too long.
Yeah, I would say not too much. I mean, maybe a little bit after week 1, where I was like, okay, took our first loss. Maybe not to say that we thought we would beat everyone, but we knew that we were kind of a strong team going in. We lost first week. We're like, okay, take a step back. But I think we just, like I said, we take it week by week. We're putting the wins together, which is great. I had a couple losses in the last few weeks, so I'm glad to get back in the W column. And I wouldn't say it's too much added stress or anything. I think we're all humble enough to know that we just got to keep doing our thing, and eventually the wins will come.
Yes, absolutely.
Going back to the games themselves, any particular standout moments for you of something that you were surprised by, or that you felt you did pretty well, or anything notable?
I mean, in the last game, from the moment that I hit the second twin slice and found the skull in my hand, I kind of put together a general game plan, which was to save up all the like when I watch people play Demon Hunter, I feel like sometimes they'll just throw out resources, maybe throw out twin slices on turns where you could weave in a hero power or weave in a minion. So my general game plan, as soon as I found those, was to basically play exactly into a Deathwing turn, because I knew that one of the things you do in that matchup, and I think it was completely understandable from Neji's point of view, that he shouldn't die at that point. So you go Deathwing hero power, and Deathwing is usually very hard to clear for a Demon Hunter. So I kind of just been planning for that exact scenario all game. And so by the time the turn hit, I knew I had lethal with it. Like I countered it a couple turns before, and I guess that was kind of a fun one to put together. Other than that, I mean, I don't know. He played really well. I thought it looked like he had a rough draw during the first game. The Paladin game just felt terrible. I got beat up. Wasn't even close. It was a fun series for sure. Definitely a competitive one.
What was going through your mind in that mage game when you got the Akasari off the Conjurer's Calling?
It's funny you say that. This actually happened to me in a ladder game the other day. I conjured into, it might have been the last mage game that I've actually played on ladder, and I conjured into an Octasari against a control warrior with like very few cards in deck. Ended up winning that one when I was 7 cards deep into fatigue.
Oh, wow.
So I want to say that I was prepared for it and I kind of knew how to approach it.
Yeah.
I think that's just how the matchup goes, where like I know I'm not going to die because he's not Bomb Warrior. So I'm not even worried about fatigue. I know that I have my win condition. Like Solarian is always a win condition.
Right.
Also had Evocation, all the burn. So I actually was not too concerned. I would have preferred, a Tyrion or something, but I'm not going to complain.
So you got Solarian. That Solarian was real good.
It was really good. Yeah. Solarian is quite a card.
the last cast of the Blizzard was pretty good. But yeah, one thing we noticed when the cards were coming out from the Octasari is that you had pretty much already drawn and played most of your big threats, both Giants, the Conjurers, the Raz, the Jandis. So the only thing left that you were probably afraid of burning would have been the Solarian, and it ended up being, I think, almost the last card in the deck. So if not the last. So
yeah, the burns were not too bad. I was hoping for basically I was looking for stuff like Primordial Studies, anything to give me more value.
Right.
I think I ended up burning like 1 Studies, which was
one Studies, one One Thief,
One
I think
Thief,
one
yeah.
Thief.
yeah. The value stuff is what I wanted, but overall the mills were pretty good for me, I'd say.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting moment for sure. I think it took a game that you felt pretty well in control of, and then it made it a little more fraught with peril for you.
Yes,
but,
for
I
sure.
think you navigated it pretty well. So
Thank you.
All right. Well, Icicles, any other questions for our guest here?
how much practice have you gotten against Neji on ladder? Because I know he's up there with y'all at the
Yes.
top 50, 100 usually.
Yeah, a few games. We play every now and then. I think he's a really good player. I've asked for his help before on like helping me learn Soul DH a little bit. So that last game that was for Neji. I feel like he's one of the first people that I watched play the deck, and he's helped me a lot, and it's become one of my decks that's really comfortable for me.
We
I've
did
gotten good
talk about
practice.
that too, where we know that Neji is kind of like the Soul DH guy that a lot of people are familiar with. So if anybody knows the matchup inside and out, it's him. But but yeah, no, it's kind of funny. Student becomes the teacher in this case. Well, anything else you'd like to say, McBanterFace, before we head out tonight?
No, I think that's all. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Always
It's
appreciate you
fun
guys
match.
offering up the matches.
Yeah, of course. All right. Have a good night.
You as
Thank
well. Alrighty, so that is it. That's Salty Saturday. 2 good series. One went a little deeper than the other, but hey, you know, it's the way it goes sometimes. So, Icicles, thank you for joining me. As always, fun to cast with you, my friend.
Yeah, enjoyed it. It was good games and good casting. I think we did good.
Yeah, I think we did. I think we did good.
Other than the 10-minute break.
Yeah, I really apologize, but OBS straight up crashed. There was really nothing I could do about that, unfortunately. So, but luckily we got it back in time for the second series. So that'll do it for us tonight. We'll be back with Sunday Showdown Sunday is the name
Sunday
of
something.
Yeah, Sunday Showdown is the name of the show. I was thinking Schoolstone for a second, but Schoolstone happened today actually. So if you missed that, check the VODs. But there will be a couple matches tomorrow night on Sunday Showdown, and we will be back next Saturday with hopefully at least 2 more matches for you. That's it. Thanks for joining us. Good luck if you have to play still. Other than that, we'll see you next week. Icicles, thank you again. Have a great night.
Good night.